Hello there, how you doing today? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is where you're watching me from. My name is Karo Owoyele. Welcome to another episode of Real Estate Talk with Karo. It's good to be here and I'm happy to, be discussing another topic with you today on the show. So this episode of the show is more like a follow-up to the last episode that I did for the show, where I addressed the issue of building demolition in Lagos, especially because it's we've had a few of them happen recently, and people are asking questions, and there are conspiracy theories out there. If you've not seen the video, I'll add a link here. You see that link? You can click on it and go check out the video, or you wait to the end of this video and then there will be another link at the end of it so that you can check that out, because it was very detailed. I wanted to keep it detailed. I wanted to address every issue surrounding the subject. So please go watch that if you've not watched that. And while we're on that, kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you've already subscribed, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thanks for trusting me, and thanks for working with me. If we've worked together before, if we've not worked together before, hopefully in the near future we'll work together. But if this is your first time, watching me and visiting my YouTube channel, kindly subscribe. The information I share here, I promise you, are of great value. If you're a real estate investor, or you are a wannabe real estate investor, maybe you're still gathering the money and putting the money together, you're welcome. Kindly subscribe. So let's get into the topic of today. The topic of today is on buying a land in Lagos. The checklist. I've put together 7 checklists that I think that are very, very essential. Things you should consider, questions you should ask. Step by step, according to their priority, is how I'm going to be discussing them today. It's a great follow-up, I think, to the previous topic that I discussed on the show. I'll take this quick break and I'll be back. So let's dive into it. Buying a land in Lagos. We all know that, yes, and according to the last video that I did, we talked about building approval. We all know that that's essential when it comes to, preventing your building from being demolished in the future or in the near future. But it starts from somewhere. You have to get a land before you even think of building, right? So today we're discussing on how to be safe before you buy the land, because if you already bought the land, getting a building approval, you could find out things can't work out because the land you bought is problematic for one reason or the other, and then you lose the land because you can't waste that money building on a land that is not safe, right? So how do we make that land safe? How do we make sure that you are buying a land that is safe and genuine, safe from the government, genuine, that is not another person's land? Because even if you don't get into trouble with the government, you can get into trouble with the villagers, with the community where you're buying the land. A whole lot can happen. So that's what I'll be addressing in this episode of the show. First on my checklist for buying a land that is safe and genuine, and that is going to give you, good return on investment, because there are 2 reasons really people buy a land. You are either buying the land because you are banking, or you are buying a land because you hope to build, someday. So while we are looking at how to buy a land, we're also looking at, how to buy a land that is sure to give you that good return on investment if you are banking a land. So everything, the checklist I'm covering today, will also cover that. So first on my checklist today is the status of the land. By status of the land, I mean as it relates to the title of the land. On titles of land, we have gazettes. Gazette is when a land has been successfully excised, and then government now record that excision in a public record, right? Then we have CFO, we have governor's consent. Those are the 3 land titles that we have. Registered survey is not a title. Deed of assignment is not a title. Freehold is not a title. Those terms are just used to describe lands that don't have title. The status of the lands that don't have title. I've talked about freehold a lot, you know, in a few videos. You can check that out. But quickly, freehold is simply a land that, you know, doesn't have title, but is not committed either, so it's free for you to do a title on it. So we call that freehold. And you know, when we started hearing a lot of freehold is when we started selling the lands in Ekpe. Yes, that's when we started hearing, you know, freehold. Now, registered survey is simply telling you that the land has been registered with the government. You know, the boundaries of the land, the size of the land has been registered with the government, which is very, very good, because that also is a way to show a land that, you know, is free of problem if it can be successfully registered with the government. But that doesn't mean that it has a title yet. Then we have deed of assignment. So it has deed of assignment. Well, deed of assignment has nothing to do with the government whatsoever. At this point, it has nothing to do with the government, or at the point at which they are talking about has nothing to do with the government. What they are simply saying is that a deed of assignment, when is it given? It's given when you buy a land from somebody. So a deed of assignment shows change of ownership from one person to the other. So for a developer to tell you they have a deed of assignment, they are simply saying that they've probably fully paid for the land. Yes, because to have a deed of assignment, you have to have fully paid for the land, for the person to now, you know, give you that document that shows complete rights that has been given to you. That's a deed of assignment. So they are not titles. Let's just, you know that now. So must you buy a title land? Some years ago, I would say yes. You know, you have to buy a titled land. But now we have freehold, you know, in Ekpe, lands in Ekpe that are fully freehold that you can do a title on. And CFO lands have become so expensive right now that it doesn't make sense anymore to say, hey, don't buy a land that doesn't have title. And CFO sometimes isn't the be all and end all either. So considering all that, and especially considering the fact that now we are dealing a lot with lands in Ekpe, and we do have a lot of lands in Ekpe that, you know, are on freehold and that you can successfully process a title on. I would not say you must buy a land that has title, but does buying a land that has title still has its benefits? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. So if you can afford a land that has title, gazette, CFO, governor's consent, please do. But if you can't afford that, please know that you are not, you know, you are not exempted from buying a land because you can't afford a land that has title. You can successfully buy lands that have freehold and get a title for them. So that's it for, you know, land title. The next on my checklist is location. Location. There are a number of things we can say about, you know, location of a land. First, I would say, what is the purpose of your land when you are thinking about the location? Because the purpose of the land will greatly affect, you know, where you should buy a land, right? For example, if my family now want to buy a land where to build and live in, what we are largely considering, even before we consider what it costs, is where do we want to live? Where will we be comfortable to live in? You know, so even if we don't have the money to buy it, we would have to save towards it to buy it, because that's a place where we want to live, and it matters to us, you know, where that place is. Is it safe? Is it too far, considering family members, considering, you know, some other places that we visit? Is it exclusive? That's if we have funds to want to live in an exclusive environment. You know, what's the security like in that area? Can we afford it? Because yes, you might want to save, but like, how many years will it take you to save realistically? You know, so it might make sense to not go too exclusive. It might make sense to not put your eyes in places that are too high, otherwise this whole thing will take forever for you just to save to buy a land. So that is one when you're thinking of location. Now the second thing to think about when it comes to the location of land is, what are the government projects in that area? Is there any government projects coming up in that area? If there is, it's a good thing. you know, for return on investment. You know that you will buy such lands, and then definitely it will appreciate when governments, you know, start to do whatever it is they want to do in that area. But on the other hand, it also should make you very, very vigilant before buying that land, because any area where government has interest, like we've seen in Ibejuleki, a lot of those lands in that area are going to either be under government acquisition or committed. You know, two of them, there's problem with those lands. If a land falls under government acquisition or it falls under committed is completely gone. But government acquisition can be excised. But can you wait? How long will you be able to wait? Usually those things take forever. So if you are buying in an area where there's a lot of government interest, in a location where there's a lot of government interest, that is more reason for you to be very, very conscious of, you know, the land you are buying, the status of that land that you are buying. Another reason you want to be vigilant as well is if a land that you are buying is on the express. A land that you're buying, if it's on the express, you also want to be very, very vigilant. Make sure to check the title on the land. Make sure to check the status of the land. Is it safe? Who owns it? Did they buy it from Omo Onile? Did they buy it from a third party? What is it? What's going on with the land? Is there any government interest with the land? Because the thing is, any land that is on the express, especially on a major express as, you know, Lekki Ekpe Expressway, any land on a major express usually have a lot of interest, a lot of attention. And I'll quickly say this. A lot of people want to buy land, seem to like lands that are on the express. I don't know why. People buying for return on investment. Yes, a land that is on the express or close to the express is very good. You know, it's a good indication that it will appreciate very, very quickly. And in the near future, you could make some good money from such lands. But also know that the way you want it, that's how another person wants it. The way this developer wanted it, that's how another person wanted it. That's how, depending on the area, the government might also want it and have a purpose for it. So you get where I'm going with this. So you want to be vigilant with such lands. Now, that takes me into my number 3 item on the checklist. And that is the land strategically located, especially if you're looking for return on investment, quick return on investment, or near future quick return on investment. Is the land strategically located? Now, if we're talking about being strategic, we're talking about government projects in the area. Yeah, this can be, you know, there can be some kind of irony, you know, with what I'm saying based on other things I've said before. But really, it doesn't mean that when a land is strategic, first of all, what does it mean for a land to be strategically located? It means that there are some kind of projects coming up in that area, whether by government, whether by third party, but there are some kind of projects coming up in that area to give some kind of indication of good return on investment in the future. If you're buying to build, then you're thinking about where are you located at the moment, or what is your job? If you're somebody that needs to be going out of the house to work, then you need to be considering the distance between where you're buying to where you're working. You understand? Or if there's a place you go to on a regular basis, even though not for work exactly, but there's a place you want to be close to, or you want to be close to Ikeja for some reason, or you want to be close to Ekpe for some reason. Those are things you want to consider if you are buying to build. You understand? But if you're buying to bank, then be concerned, be interested about the project coming up in that area, be interested about easy access to the place, because that's going to also be one of the reasons why your land will be hot cake to sell, you know, in the future. The 4th item on my checklist for buying a safe and genuine land that also offers good return on investment is the cost of the land. How much is the land being sold for? The cost of a land can tell you a whole lot about a land. I've had several times that a client will send me a property and say, oh, I found this land, it's very, it's strategically located, it's selling at so and so price, very cheap, and they are saying it's going to close tomorrow, I need to pay very quickly, please let me look into it. But then I see the price of this land. Immediately I see the price of the land, I'm no longer interested in anything the person in the video is saying, because the price of the land has said to me that something is wrong with that land. I've told clients without even doing a search a number of times that something is wrong with the land. And they'll say, well, how do you know about that? Well, something is wrong with it. If nothing is wrong with the land, then it wouldn't be selling at that price. It is either the land is committed, the land is under government acquisition. There's a reason the land is selling for that low. And usually those lands that you are paying for, you will not get them because they are not safe. Either the government gets to them, or they know that they cannot allocate a government land, so they don't allocate it at all. They delay and delay, or the owner of such lands gets to them. Maybe they've sold it to 1, 2, 3 person, and the so-called developer knows that they've sold it to a number of people, or for some reason they know that it's not safe, so they just want to use that way to dupe people, get their money, and then disappear. So be very, very careful, please. When you see a land in a premium area selling for way cheap, it is okay for lands to sell, a little bit cheaper than what vendor B is offering or vendor A is offering. It's a normal thing. It's just like we know the price of a particular product now selling for 5,000 naira, right? You could get it from vendor B for 5,200. You get it from vendor C for 5,400. The price is still within the same range, right? But just a little bit difference here and there because they are being sold by different people and everybody determine the profits that they are okay with, right? But then you now go to vendor D and see that same thing that you have the market idea of, selling for 1,500. Don't jump quickly and say, oh, yes, I found it, 1,500. Take 1,500. No. The first question you should ask is, why is it selling for 1,500 naira? Otherwise, in trying to pay way lower than what that product is worth, you end up just giving somebody 1,500 naira for free, because what you will get when you get home and open the product will be fake, no doubt. So we want to be careful. When it comes to cheap lands in Lagos, we have run out of it. We have run out of cheap lands, what you can call cheap lands. And by cheap lands, talking about 600,000, 800,000, 1 million, 1. We are about running out of those lands completely. If you see lands that sell for those prices now, just know that they are not inside a bell. They are not. They are inside Ogun State. They've moved from Lagos to another state, and of course once you get out of Lagos, you get those type of cheap lands. So when buying a land, when you think about cost, please make sure that you're not putting this cost. It has to be lower. I want cheap. You are not putting it way ahead of everything else. You understand? You want to give it a thought first, especially when the land is in a premium area where you clearly have the market price of, or you've seen a lot of properties selling within the same range in that area. All of a sudden you are seeing this property that is way lesser in price. Please don't let people dupe you. That is how people lose their hard-earned money. That is one of the ways to quickly lose your hard-earned money. You understand? So get the knowledge of what land costs in an area, before you are rushing to pay for such lands. Now, the fifth item on my checklist is, who is the owner of this estate? Who is offering it for sale? You want to look into track record. You want to look into the number of properties they have. You want to look into their experience in the industry. Now, granted, I'll have to put this disclaimer out there. People who have experience in the industry, who've been around for a while, it doesn't always mean that you get the best services from them. Because I feel like sometimes when people have been around for a while and they've achieved a certain kind of success with investors, they tend to want to start to drop the ball. You know, some of them become a little bit arrogant when dealing with investors. You get. Having said that, I also want to say that in the same way, a new developer who is a little bit inexperienced, by inexperienced I mean that in developing, because a lot of new developers coming, they are not really inexperienced, they've been in the industry for a while, they are probably just new and, you know, going into developing, but that doesn't mean they are new in the industry, so they know what they are doing already. But of course, we don't want to take for granted the need to look into track record in terms of developing itself, especially the number of estates they have or the number of clients they've dealt with over the years, something like that. Just look into them and make sure that they are, you know, they are doing fine, especially if you are land banking. You understand? Because if you are buying to build, developers offering lands that you can buy to build, you definitely be seeing work going on in the estates that should tell you that, oh, this land is safe. At least safe from the omo-oniless means that they actually bought the land. Whether it is safe from government is another matter you should look into, but at least it's safe from omo-oniless, because they can't be working on a land that they've not successfully concluded the deal with omo-oniless. They can't be working on it, and the omo-oniless will not come to site and, you know, throw away everything that they have there. You understand? So be careful. If you are doing land banking, you want to make sure that you establish that these people have come to stay. That's the biggest thing with who the developer is. Have they come to stay? Do you understand? Because it takes a while when you buy a land to get your allocation. You know, even for developers who know what they are doing, who are doing the right thing, it takes a while, because they will have to do register survey for you. They will have to process your documents for you for those lands before they give you allocation. So we're talking about at least 2 months, 3 months. Do you understand? So you look at these people, how are they doing? Where is their office? Go to their websites. Any company that doesn't have a website in 2023, it's, I don't know, or has a website that is poorly managed, you don't have contact information on the website, you don't, you know, you can barely get any information on the website. It's just a page set up. The ones, some of them that even have a website, it's just one page set up there, and then nothing else is happening there. No other information, no updates, nothing. Do you understand? Those are red flags. Those are red flags. You want to pay attention. It doesn't mean they are not, you know, in Nigeria, a lot of companies just have these poor management skills, especially when it comes to using the internet, maximizing the internet for business, you know. But that doesn't mean that we should overlook that because of it. It is very important. Those research should be able to give you some kind of information. The number of people send me properties to look at, and just trying to get the website, the name of the company, takes forever, because they don't. You do a Google search, you can't find them anywhere. You can't hear anybody talking about the company itself, just the property being marketed by a lot of people. And because there are so many marketers now who are willing to, you know, sell this product, who are willing to push it, we have a whole lot of, you know, developers who are coming with bad intentions, just taking advantage of people, you know, the availability of marketers pushing their products to dupe people. Do you understand? Because in Nigeria, we really don't have anybody that is regulating the industry. There's no one regulating the developers, how they do business. There's no one regulating the realtors, you know, who comes in and who doesn't come in. It's just, oh, you want to market? Oh yeah, come and market. People take their phones and then just record videos and all that. It's not exactly a bad thing, but that makes a whole lot of developers now coming who don't have good intentions, who take advantage of the fact that there are, you know, marketers who are not educated. Because now we have a lot of marketers, realtors, who are not educated. Unlike, you know, in the West, more developed countries where you have to get a license and you have to go through some process to become a realtor. Here it's not like that. So let's all be careful. That's the more reason we want to pay attention to the developers that own a property before we choose to work with that company. Now that takes me to my sixth item on my checklist when buying a safe and genuine land that promises good return in the future. The topography of the land that you are buying. And by topography, this one is really quick. I mean one thing and one thing only. Is it dry? Is it swampy? Now, not all swampy lands are bad, and in Lagos, except you don't want to stay in Lagos, there are a lot of places in Lagos that are water, that have some water, the lands. And also keep in mind that an estate usually involves a very large space of land. The status of the land in terms of whether it is dry or not will not be the same. Usually it's not the same throughout the estate. Some place will be dry, some place will have some water, some place will be deep, some place will be high, just like that. And when I do a video, I try to make sure I capture everything. If there's water there, I'll capture it. Sometimes I'll even talk about it in the video, that there's water here and this and that. So what I'm saying here is that it is unrealistic, right, to expect that you will continue to get all lands, all estates should be dry land. It is very unrealistic. And there have been swampy lands that have turned to very beautiful estates. Amen Estate Phase 1, an exclusive estate, premium estate, is one of such good examples. Amen Estate Phase 1 that everybody wants to live in now was a swampy land. The Phase 2, when we sold it, some place came dry, some place were swampy. You just need to decide whether the swamp is really so bad that it will consume a whole lot of millions before you can build on it. All wetlands are not created equal. That's the truth. I'm saying that don't invest in a land that has so much water that is several deep a swamp that you have to fill and fill and feed, spend 10 million, 15 million, 20 million just to sandfill the land before you can start building. That's what I'm saying by that. Now that brings me to the final point on my checklist, which is the number 7 item on my checklist, and that is, before signing the dotted lines on a contract of sale before buying a land, make sure to read it very, very carefully. It's usually 1 page and sometimes at most 2 pages, so it's a quick read. So just read it, because sometimes some things will be hidden there. Knowing that Nigerians don't read, you just sign. You understand? And then it puts you in trouble in the future. You want to make sure that their terms are not so rigid that it will become a problem in the future. You also want to make sure that if you hope to build in the future, their terms, there's nothing in their terms that you have a problem with when it comes to building on your land. And if you want to sell in the future, what are they saying? Are they saying anything about, when you are reselling your land? Are they saying something? Are they saying that you have to pay some money to resell before you can even resell your land? So those are some of the terms that you want to look into. You want to make sure that they don't have any hidden charges in their contract that you have to pay in the future that is not justified. You understand? There's difference between extra charges, which is the charges you pay for documentation and development levy. Those are extra charges that comes with generally buying a land. The only fee that comes with buying within an estate is the development charge, which is self-explanatory. You want an estate that is all set up for you, you have to pay towards it. So we're not talking about those extra charges here. I'm talking about hidden fees that you didn't know about, that they've hidden into the contract, that you have to pay for. One of them could be that you have to pay them some kind of money that cannot be justified just before you can sell your land, or some money that cannot be justified just before you can build on your land. Those are hidden charges, and you want to check that the contract is, doesn't have any of that before you put your signature on the dotted line. So that's it for everything on the checklist to buying a safe, genuine land that will promise good return on investment if that's what you are doing it for. If it's not what you are doing it for, but that will also make sure that you buy a safe land that you wouldn't have any problem when you are doing your building approval in the future. Finally, I'll add this before I go. Everything I've discussed here, if it seems overwhelming for you, just get a trusted realtor to work with. This person takes away a lot of the work from you. You don't have to do a lot of the thinking. The person even helps you read your contract. Make sure there's nothing. Even though I still recommend that you have a realtor, you don't have a realtor, read your contract by yourself. You understand? Because it is still your sole responsibility. If you get into trouble in the future, it is your responsibility. You are the only one who is going to lose money, not the realtor. But a realtor helps a great deal to recommend very safe properties that you can invest in. Every now and then I see, some of my clients send me properties, even when we are saying buy from this, buy from this. Why? Because we've checked it out. We've checked out the location. We've even checked out, you know, the status of the land in terms of title, and everything is fine. So we are saying buy this, buy this. But you see them, they'll send you a video, please help me check this, please help me check this, and please, this is very strategically located, though, you know, and the price is affordable, please help me check it. We can't possibly check all lands, but I still go the extra mile to check those lands, do a quick research, see what I can get back to the client. If it's a land that is safe, I'm glad to also help with processing the transaction and making sure that everything goes seamlessly. So use a trusted realtor to reduce the stress on you, to do some of the thinking for you, to do some of the heavy lifting for you when buying a land. And fortunately, you don't have to pay us a dime, because the developers we're working with, whose property we are recommending to you, make sure that for our efforts they pay us. So they pay us on your behalf. You don't have to worry. So if you are really not using us, you are just, you know, it's a disadvantage to you. It's a disadvantage to you that you don't have to have if you are not using us, because it's free. The service is free. So why not use us to help that seamless transaction, you know, when buying a land? So that's it for this episode of the show. Until I come your way again, my name is Karo Owoyele. Please don't forget to subscribe. Okay? Bye for now.